Okay, tumuloy po tayo sa ating preaching. Oras po natin 11:06. I will try my best na gawin po itong maiksi. As I have said last Sunday, yung pong grace giving po natin na supposed to be today, ay extend po natin next week dahil naging busy po tayo sa preparation sa anniversary po ng IBMA. Yung mga nakapag-attend sa NCC, I'm hoping na nagkaroon po tayo ng idea about IBMA. What is IBMA? Kasi iniisip ko, baka hindi nauunawa ng maraming mga members. Bakit yung mga pastor, ganun na lamang katindi yung pagsuporta nila sa mga events ng IBMA. Without IBMA, there won't be any church here in Tibag. Ang IBMA noong sinimulan po ang IBMA noong 1984, ang IBMA po ang nag-facilitate sa maraming mga pastor para makapunta po sa Amerika. Makapag-deputation sa mga churches. Makatulong sila financially sa mga pastor. Upang sa ganoon, ang mga pastor ay makapag-ministeryo full-time sa kanilang mga mission field without worrying financial burden. Mahirap kasi kung yung pastor ay nagmi-ministeryo at the same time, nagtatrabaho. Hindi niya maibigay yung kanyang full potential sa ministry kung nagtatrabaho siya. But because of IBMA, nakapag-deputation po ang maraming mga pastor sa Amerika at nasuportan po sila ng mga churches po doon. At dahil doon ay mas lalong bumilis yung pagdami ng mga churches. Mas lalong bumilis yung pagdami ng mga kaluluwa na ilalapit sa Panginoon. Yung ginagawa ng mga churches sa Amerika ay ginagawa din naman natin dito. Nagsusupport din tayo locally sa mga pastors po natin. Sapagkat naniniwala tayo na we have equal responsibility. Hindi lamang po yung mga American churches, kahit yung mga local churches po natin, ay kailangang bumitbit sa pagsuporta sa mission. Kung napapabilis ng Amerika yung gawain ng Panginoon, mas lalong mapapabilis kung tayo ng mga churches sa Pilipinas ay mai-involve din sa pagsuporta sa mga pastor. At kung bawat member sa mga churches ay babalikat sa mission na ito, hindi natin alam kung anong pwedeng gawin pa ng Panginoon hanggang siya ay bumalik. So church, we have a great responsibility. Hindi lamang yung maging komportable tayo every time na mag-worship po tayo sa church, pero yung consummation ng worship natin ay yung pagsuporta sa mission. Yung may makita tayong maraming kaluluwang mailapit sa Panginoon. May makita tayong mga pastor na patuloy na naglilingkod. Mga churches na nasisimulan. Yan po ang advocacy ng IBMA, church planting. Makapagsimulan ng maraming mga simbahan. Okay, Mark chapter 12, verse 41 to 44. Babasahin ko po at inyong sundan sa inyong mga paningin. Ang sabi niya doon, and Jesus sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury. And many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Title po ng ating mensahe ngayong umaga, Sacrificial Giving. Sacrificial Giving. What is sacrificial giving? Ang sacrificial giving po ay isang klase ng pagbibigay na kung saan nasasaktan tayo. Nararamdaman natin yung ibinibigay natin. May value, may bigat sa atin yung ibinibigay natin. Yung meron kang paggagamitan na kailangan mo, pero naging mas matimbang sa'yo yung pagmamahal mo sa Panginoon. Kung kaya't minabuti mong ibigay na lamang ito sa Panginoon. Nagsakripisyo ka. That is sacrificial giving. Meron pong isang kwento, just to drive my point, narinig nyo na po ito at ulitin ko ulit para lang maintindihan natin yung aking punto when I try to define what is sacrificial giving. Meron pong isang church, magse-celebrate po ng kanilang anniversary. Ang church po na ito ay Baptist. Alam nyo naman, kapag ang Baptist nag-celebrate, laging merong pagkain. Hindi nawawala kasi yun lang ang bisyo ng mga Baptist pagkain. Sa likod ng church ay may alaga po silang manok at baboy. Nag-usap yung manok at baboy. Sabi nila, ano yung may ko-contribute kaya natin sa anniversary ng church? Ang sabi ng manok, ang gagawin ko, mangingitlog ako ng mangingitlog. Maraming itlog ang aking i-contribute. Ang sabi naman ng manok sa baboy, ikaw, anong maibibigay mo naman? Di naman ako pwedeng mangitlog katulad mo. Ang pwede ko lang ibigay, yung karne ko. Kaya yun ang aking ibibigay. Sa iyo, contribution kasi buhay ka pa. Sa akin, sakripisyo kasi wala na ako. Yun po ang pagkakaiba ng contribution sa sacrifice. So when we say sacrificial giving, ito yung klase ng pag-ibigay na nasasaktan tayo. Merong bigat, mayroong halaga sa atin yung ibinibigay natin. Pero ibibigay po natin. Yan ang tinatawag na sacrificial giving. Ngayon dito po sa mga talata na binasa po natin, meron po tayong mabasa, I think twice po itong nabanggit, yung word na treasury. Treasury. What is the treasury? Ito po yung offering box nila sa temple. Dito nila nilalagay yung mga offering nila sa Panginoon. Throughout the temple ay meron pong nakakalat na 13 treasury. Sa atin po dito, isa lang. Pero sila, 13 treasury yung nakakalat. At pupunta po yung mga nag-worship sa Panginoon after po nilang mag-worship, towards the end of their worship, pupuntan po nila yung treasury na yun para ilagay doon yung kanilang offering sa Panginoon. Ngayon para hindi na po tayo nag-i-imagine kung anong itsura ng treasury na yon. Naghanap po ko ng picture sa Google para makita po natin yung replica ng treasury na yan. Ang treasury is made out of metal. Hindi po siya gawa sa kahoy, katulad nito, but it was made out of metal. Metal box at sa ibabaw po nito ay merong receptacle para siyang trumpet, yung bibig niya. Diyan po nilalaglag yung mga offering ng mga tao dun sa loob ng temple. At kapag nilalaglag po nila yung mga offering po nila dyan, nagkikreate po ito ng ugong. Dahil metal po yung receptacle niya, nagkikreate po ito ng ugong pagtama ng coins doon. Di pa po uso yung mga paper bill during that time. Puro coins ang pera po nila doon. So coins po yung nilalaglag po nila doon. Magkikreate ng ugong pagtama doon sa receptacle, doon sa parang trumpet shape. Pagbagsak niya sa loob, dahil metal din yung box, mas malakas na ugong ang nakikreate niya sa loob. Dahil yung metal na yun, kulob po siya. Walang ibang mag-absorb ng sound, kundi lalabas dun sa receptacle niya, which is a trumpet shape. At dahil yung loob ng temple ay kulob din, nagmumultiply yung ugong na nakikreate ng bawat coins na nalalaglag sa loob ng treasury. Siguro ito yung reference ng ating Panginoon dun sa Matthew chapter 6 na sinabi niyang, "Woe unto the Pharisees who blow trumpets when they do their almsgiving." Hindi naman siguro literal na nagpapatunog ng trompeta yung mga Pariseo kapag nagbibigay sila. Pero ito siguro yung reference ng ating Panginoon dahil parang hugis trompeta po yung bibig noong treasury. Na kapag yung mga mayayaman ay nagbibigay sa offering, ay talagang nilalakasan pa nila yung bagsak ng coins para malaman sa loob ng temple na marami silang ibinibigay. So literally speaking, para silang nagpapatunog na ng trompeta when they do their alms giving inside the temple. So, May nakita po akong video in reference dun po sa widow's mite na gusto ko pong panoorin natin para magkaroon tayo ng clearer perception ng senaryo sa widow's mite na ito. Sige, Sir Jonas, i-play na natin.
The story of the widow's mite is widely viewed as a model of true and meaningful sacrifice. This woman's example teaches us that it is far more important where our heart is when we give than the amount of our gift. If we give or serve out of love and devotion to God, then even a small gift can be a great sacrifice. To more fully appreciate the significance of this widow's donation, let's explore its historical setting. First, we'll look at where the story took place, the temple in Jerusalem. During the time of Christ, the temple was in the middle of an 80-year reconstruction project that began under King Herod and was thus known as Herod's Temple. As one of the largest structures in the world at the time, its beauty and grandeur was beyond comparison. High on the hilltop of Mount Moriah, it could be seen for miles round about Jerusalem. While the temple itself stood at a majestic 150 feet tall, the temple complex was also massive, totaling about 37 acres, or approximately the equivalent of 26 football fields. Understandably, a project this extensive was quite costly, requiring significant donations and taxes from the people. Towards the center of the temple complex was the Court of the Women, also known as the Treasury. 13 collection boxes were placed here, each chest labeled for the various types of offerings that could be given. On top of each box was a trumpet-shaped receptacle where donations could be made. As one can imagine, the coins falling down the shaft of the trumpet made a noise loud enough for others to hear. The larger the donation, the louder the sound. When teaching his followers about almsgiving, Christ may have been referring to these money boxes when stating, "Do not sound a trumpet before thee as the hypocrites do, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward." The temple was meant to be a place where God's people could come to worship, make sacrifices, and learn to serve others. Instead, it was being corrupted by pride and hypocrisy, especially among the wealthy and religious elite. With this temple setting in mind, let's now consider when the widow's donation occurred. The Savior's observance of this woman took place during the last week of his life, now known as Holy Week. At this time, Jews from all over came to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover, and for many pilgrims this involved paying taxes and making donations at the temple. While anyone could freely donate any amount into the designated boxes, all Jewish males were required to pay a half shekel once each year. The temple authorities, however, required that inferior Jewish coins be exchanged for Roman coins, which had a higher percentage of silver. In order to make an exchange, the people were charged about an 8% fee, which was most likely pocketed by the corrupt temple priests, along with a portion of the collected donations. When Jesus encountered this type of corruption at the temple, he overturned the tables where the money was exchanged, proclaiming they had made his Father's house into a den of thieves. Yet, this isn't the only money-related teaching leading up to the story of the widow's mite. There's also the account of a rich man named Zacchaeus, the parable of the pounds, and Christ's teachings about taxes. And then, just before the story of the widow's mite, Jesus gives this powerful rebuke. Beware of the scribes, which desire the highest seats in the synagogues, which devour widows' houses, and for a show make long prayers. The same shall receive greater damnation. Together, these teachings make it clear that Jesus wasn't happy with the attitudes towards wealth and status that were being promoted by the religious leaders of the day. With this context in mind, let's take a closer look at the story of the widow's mite. As Jesus was teaching at the temple during his final week, he looked up and saw rich men casting their coins noisily into the donation boxes. But then he noticed another coming to make her own donation. She was a poor widow. Surrounded by the beautiful grandeur of the temple, she approached the court of the women and offered all that she had. But it was only 2 mites, what an average wage earner would receive for just about 12 minutes of labor. Unlike the repeated and noisy clanking of larger coins made by wealthy patrons, her meager donation would have been almost imperceptible as it fell into the box below. Yet Jesus taught that this poor widow had put in more than all the others, for they gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she out of her poverty put in all she had to live on. In other words, it isn't the worldly worth of a gift that matters, but rather the degree of personal sacrifice and devotion involved. Whether we are a poor widow or a rich young ruler, God wants us to be willing, if needed, to give up everything to follow Him. The irony is that the law of Moses teaches that widows are to be cared for, but it is this woman who is freely giving to the very ones who should be caring for her. There's more to the message, though, for Jesus knew that despite the efforts being made to renovate the temple, in only a few decades it would be destroyed. Directly following his teachings about the widow, he prophesied of the temple that the time will come when not one stone will be left on another. Every one of them will be thrown down. For his listeners who were marveling at that very moment at the beauty and splendor of the temple, this must have been a shocking and disturbing message. How could such devastation come to such a holy place? And why would God allow it? The answer, at least in part, may be that it wasn't nearly as holy as the people thought. Unlike this widow who humbly consecrated all she had towards establishing the house of the Lord, the scribes and Pharisees were making unacceptable offerings. In their pride and greed, they were desecrating the temple and using it to their personal advantage. So God would eventually take the temple from them, much like they were defrauding poor widows out of their property. This prophesied destruction took place nearly 40 years later by a Roman army, who indeed dismantled the temple block by block. As typified by the destruction of the temple, attitudes of pride and greed have a tendency to destroy the very things they are trying to lift up. In the end, God is simply not impressed by those who loudly proclaim their generosity, while ignoring those suffering nearby. The poor widow who cast in her 2 mites may not have thought much of her meager offering. Perhaps she thought no one noticed, but Jesus did. Our Father in heaven sees every good thing we do. He knows our hearts and minds. He sees our sacrifices and efforts, no matter how small or unimportant they may outwardly seem. Buildings may be destroyed, legacies may be forgotten, leaders may fall, but our humble service rendered to others will always be seen and remembered by the Lord.
Oftentimes, we take it for granted na insignificant yung naibigay natin sa Panginoon. Hindi mararamdaman. But the Lord sees our giving. Ang sabi niya sa verse 41, and Jesus sat over against the treasury. Ano po ang ibig sabihin nung passage na yon? That Jesus sat over against the treasury. When we hear the word against, it gives us the idea of being opposite. Halimbawa, yung wall na to, I will push against the wall. Nakaharap ako. So, ang Panginoon, sabi ng Bible, sat over against the treasury. Kumuha siya ng upuan sat over gains. Halimbawa, ito yung treasury. Naupo ang Panginoon ng nakaharap. Tinitingnan niya yung treasury. For what purpose? Basahin natin yung verse 41. And beheld. Para pagmasdan niya. And beheld. So, naupo ang Panginoon para pagmasdan niya yung treasury. Ano yung titingnan niya sa treasury? How the people cast money into the treasury. Kung papaanong nagbibigay yung mga tao sa treasury. Yun ang sabi ng Bible sa verse 41. Nakakatakot ito eh. Yung magbibigay ka pero merong nagmamasid sa'yo. Sa iyong binibigay. Gawin kaya natin sa church yun every Sunday. Sa tingin nyo? Yung pag-offering na, tatayo ako dito. Titingnan ko lahat ng mga kamay na nagbibigay. Gusto nyo gawin natin every Sunday? No need. Kasi ang Panginoon, ginagawa na niya eh. Sabi ng Bible, pinagmamasa ng Panginoon, beheld. At ano yung napansin niya? Na yung sacrificial giving po natin, it is not by giving large amount. Yung pagbibigay na mayroong sakripisyo ay hindi makikita doon sa amount na ibinibigay po natin. Hindi yung nakapagbigay ka ng malaki, sacrificial giving na ang tawag doon. But rather, it is by giving your all and your best. Ito yung na-observe ng Panginoon sa mga nagbibigay. It is not by giving large amount, but it is by giving your all and your best. Dahil yung mga mayayaman, ang sabi ng Bible, nagbigay sila out of their abundance. Meron silang kakayahang magbigay dahil mayaman sila. Marami silang pera. Pero itong babaeng mahirap na balo na ito, sa kabila ng kanyang kahirapan, nagawa pa rin niyang magbigay. Ibig sabihin, wala siyang kakayahan. Yung sarili nga niya, hindi niya matugunan ang personal niyang pangangailangan, pero nagawa pa rin niyang magbigay. Number 2, observation. Jesus evaluates the offering that we give. Hindi lamang niya pinagmamasdan yung mga pagbibigay natin, but He also evaluates the offering that we give. Ang sabi niya sa verse 43, Verily, I say unto you that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. The rich contribute out of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Sinasabi ng Panginoon dito na pag samasamahin mo man ang ibinigay ng lahat ng mayayaman, mas higit pa rin ang ibinigay ng babaeng balo. Let me cite you an example. Sino po dito sa mga balo? Mga balo na dito. Si Mami, si Nanay. 3? We have 3 widows. O, sige, Mami na lang. Mami, tayo kayo, Mami. Tayo kayo, Mami. O, halimbawa, si Mami yung widow dito sa kwento. Halimbawa, si Mami yung widow. Which is, totoo namang widow siya. Okay? Tapos, naghulog si Mami ng 2 piso. Walang trabaho si Mami, walang kabuhayan. Tapos, marami pang mga apo sa kanya. Naghulog siya ng 2 piso. Okay? Tapos, yung mga rich men, okay? Example ng mga rich. Brother Oscar, bawa, si Brother Oscar. Kaya niyo pang tumayo, Brother Oscar? Okay. Si Kuya Ray. Yung mga mukhang rich lang. Okay? Si Kuya Don, sa pangalan pa lang, mayaman na. Sige, tayo. Illustration lang ito, ano? Sino pa? Kuya Paul. Tayo. Binovolunteer ka nila eh. Sino pa dito? Pastor JR. Oh, yan. Tapos, engineer. Tayo ka, engineer. Yan, tayo din. O, halimbawa lang ha. Nandito ang Panginoon, pinagmamasdan niyang nagbibigay yung mayaman. Pumunta si Brother Oscar, nagbigay siya ng 1 million. Pumunta si Brother Don, nagbigay siya ng 1 million. Si Kuya Ray, 1 million. Si Kuya Paul, 5 million. Si Kuya Darwin, 1 million. Si Pastor JR, 1 million. Magkano na yun? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 million. Tapos si Mami, nagbigay siya 2 piso lang. Ang sabi ng Panginoon, yung mga nagbigay ng mga milyon-milyon, nagbigay sila out of their abundance. Ibig sabihin, hindi nila naramdaman na nabawasan yung pera nila. Halimbawa, Brother Oscar, billionaires. 1 billion ang pera niya. Ilang zero meron sa 1 billion? Ilang zero meron sa 1 billion? 9. Hindi kayo magiging billionaire talaga. Hindi nyo alam magbilang ng zero eh. Okay? Sa math, yung meron tayong ones, 100,000s. Yung ones, 1 zero, hundreds, 2 zero, thousands, 3 zero. Pag million, 6 na zero. Pag 9, billions. Pag 12, trillion. Okay? Yung 1 million, kukurot ka lang sa 1 billion. Kurot lang sa 1 billion yung 1 million. Ibig sabihin, malaki nga yung binigay mo. Pero mas malaki pa rin yung natira. Yun yung sinasabi ng Panginoon na they gave out of their abundance. Kumurot lang sila dun sa yaman na meron sila. Pero yung babaeng balo, hindi siya kumurot. Binigay niya lahat. Walang natira. Pati yung personal niyang pangangailangan, binigay na rin niya. Dahil ang sabi ng Bible, even all her living. Yung buong kabuhayan niya, nandun sa 2 pera na yon, and yet binigay pa rin niya lahat. Sige po, maraming salamat po. Pwede na po tayong maupo. So ang Panginoon, ini-evaluate niya yung ibinibigay natin. Papaano niyang sinusukat? Yung ibinibigay po natin, hindi dun sa binigay mo. Dun sa natira. Dun niya sinusukat. Tayo kasi bilang tao, normal lang sa atin na ang sukatan natin dun sa halaga nung ibinigay. Pero ang Panginoon baligtad. Sinusukat niya dun sa halaga nung natira. Kung talaga bang sacrificial giving ang ginawa natin sa Panginoon, ano yung mas malaki? Yung ibinigay mo o yung natira? God requires from us is not merely our money. He requires our hearts. Bakit po palaging merong kaugnayan yung pera sa puso ng tao? Dahil ang sabi ng Bible, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Kung nasan po yung puso mo, sumusunod po yung pera natin doon. Correct? Yung mga nanliligaw dito, ginagastosan natin yung nililigawan natin. Bakit? Kasi yung puso natin nasa Kanya eh. Yung pamilya natin, bakit natin binubuhos lahat ng sweldo natin sa pamilya natin? Sapagkat yung puso natin, nasa pamilya natin. Yung anak natin, bakit pag nagbe-birthday siya, binubuhos mo lahat ng pera mo, sukdo lang mangutang ka, para lang maging masaya yung birthday niya. Bakit? Kasi yung puso mo, nasa Kanya. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Hindi actually kailangan ng Diyos yung pera natin. Mayaman ng ating Panginoong Diyos. He owns the cattle in 1,000 hills. Psalms 24, the earth is the Lord's. Pag-aari ng Panginoon ang mundo. Lahat ng nakabaon na ginto at diamante sa ilalim ng lupa sa Panginoon. Hindi niya kailangan ng pera natin. Anong kailangan niya? Yung puso natin. Number 3, observation. Widow sacrificial giving challenges our excuses. Ano yung common excuses natin kung bakit hindi tayo makapagbigay? wala akong pera. Di ba? Yan ang madalas na sinasabi natin. Kung meron ka man, sapat lang na matugunan yung pangangailangan ko. Minsan nga, kulang pa. Paano pa ako makakapagbigay? Yung ganoong mentalidad, hinahamon ng widow na ito. Dahil ang sabi ng Bible, she had very little and yet she gave. Kakaunti lang. So wala tayong pwedeng gamiting alibay para mahigitan yung klase ng pagbibigay na ginawa ng widow na ito. Alam nyo, kung hindi lang siguro kinumend ng Panginoong Jesucristo yung giving ng babaeng balong ito, baka tayo ng mga nabubuhay ngayon, iko-condemn natin siya eh. Bakit ganun lang ang binigay niya? God deserves the best. God deserves our all. Pero bakit ganun lang ang binigay niya? Buti na lang ang Panginoon, kinumend niya for us to see kung anong klase ng pagbigay ang ginawa ng babaeng balo na to. The widow had very little and yet she gave. At marami pong mga extravagant examples sa Bible ng kanilang pagbibigay. Consider Abraham when he offered his son Isaac. Kaisa-isang anak lang niya. And yet, ni-require ng Panginoon, i-offer niya ito at ibinigay ni Abraham si Isaac. Si Hannah, ibinigay niya si Samuel. Yung poor widow sa Old Testament, last meal na lang niya, pinakain pa niya kay Elijah. Si Mary, binasag niya yung bote ng mamahaling pabango at binuhos sa paa ng ating Panginoong Jesucristo. Yung namumukod tanging yaman nila ay kanilang ibinigay. Masakit ba ang magbigay sa Panginoon? Mahirap bang magbigay sa Panginoon? O masarap sa pakiramdam ang magbigay sa Panginoon? Meron pong isang namamalimos po siya sa tabi ng daan. Meron isang babae, napadaan, huminto, tapos nagkalkal siya sa kanyang bag. Maya-maya ay meron siyang nilabas 10 piso. Uso pa yung 10 pisong papel nun. Pero bago niya binigay sa namamalimos, ang sabi niya, ibibigay ko sa ito hindi dahil sa deserve mo. Ibibigay ko sa ito dahil masarap sa aking pakiramdam ang magbigay sa iyo. So ang sabi ng namamalimos na to, yaman din lamang na masarap sa iyong pakiramdam ang magbigay ng 10 piso, gawin mo ng 100 para lalo kang mag-enjoy. So kung masarap sa pakiramdam natin ang magbigay sa Panginoon, lubusin na natin ang pagbibigay sa Panginoon so that our joy may be full. Binilikan ko po uli yung passage. Bago ako nagpahinga, binasa ko po siya uli. Then meron akong na-discover na dalawa pa. Observation. Number 1, yung widow's mite was not just a story, nor a parable. It was a true-to-life event that the Lord was able to witness. Totoong nangyari na nasaksihan ng ating Panginoon. Hindi po ito kwento lang. Hindi po ito parable lang. Totoo siyang nangyari na nasaksihan ng ating Panginoon. Second, ilang pera yung binigay ng babaeng balo? 2 mites, di ba? 2 mites. Inisip ko, merong choice yung widow na hatiin niya yung ibibigay niya. 50% ang ibigay niya, 50% itira niya sa kanyang sarili. Isa lang ang hiulog niya, yung isang pera itira niya sa kanyang sarili. And I think it is the most practical way to do. Nakapagbigay ka na sa Panginoon, hindi lang 10%, 50% ang binigay mo sa Panginoon. At the same time, may tinira ka para punan ang personal mong pangangailangan. She has that choice. Pero anong sabi ng Bible? She gave it all. Binigay niya lahat. At ang nagustuhan ko po dito, dun sa last, pinahabol niya, even all her living. Yung living po dito, kabuhayan. Yung buong kabuhayan niya, maaring nakataya na dun sa dalawang pera niya. And yet, hindi niya inisip yun, ibinigay niya lahat sa Panginoon. Maaring pwede niyang gamitin yung isang pera, pamuhunan, magnegosyo siya, pero hindi niya ginawa yun. Mas pinili pa rin niya na ibigay niya lahat sa Panginoon. May we have a change of heart the way we give.